So in a recent video on my house move and garage move, I said if you wanted to know more about me, then leave a comment. And thank you to Susie G for leaving a comment.
Pizza! Oh no.
That was all I needed to do this video. And this event that I am at right now just couldn't have been more fitting for the start of that video. Yes, I am at Supercar Sunday again, but it is held at my old school. I mean, I used to learn physics in that building, and we were never allowed to walk across that lawn, and now there's cars parked all over it. And this is the field where I used to do my sports day. So this is a fitting event to start this video, because it was whilst at this school that I learned to drive, passed my driving test.
Did you learn to drive here?
Well, not here, but whilst I was here. And I got my first car, which was the 1 litre Nissan Micra, as pictured. And whilst I was here, that Nissan Micra, it started off life as quite a decent example of a low mileage J-Reg Micra. Always aspiring to own a car, not at this level, but you know, a nicer hatchback. My friend had this 206, so that was sort of a target. I think one of the reasons why people modify cars is because they're always trying to get to that kind of next level of car, and that is exactly what I did with the Micra. So it went through various phases. We tried painting it green with rattle cans, which was very unsuccessful, so it then just went yellow. I was banned from parking my car on the school grounds because I was accused of doing wheelies on the speed bumps in my 1 litre Micra. Down through here is where Daddy got accused of doing wheelies. Do you think I could do wheelies out here?
No.
No. If only you were around at the time to tell my teacher, mate. There is the speed bump I was accused of doing the wheelies off. That little shallow speed bump. See if this car does a wheelie off it. No. Doesn't seem likely, does it? Not that I hold grudges over 20 years or anything. Mr. Browning. Here are more of those speed bumps that I was accused of doing wheelies off. And that gate is the entrance to the school, and it was just outside there that I had to park my car after I'd been banned from parking on school grounds. In fact, here is the very spot where that white car is that I had to park my poor yellow Micra. But let's talk about the things that I got up to in my 1 litre Micra. So at that time, my daddy was a bit of a boy racer. Do you know what that means?
Mm-hmm.
Do you? What does it mean?
I don't know.
All right. It means that I went into car parks and did handbrake turns like this.
I cannot sleep, I cannot dream tonight. Snippets where I come from, orange bound veteran, but I represent who never lived in poverty. Hard working.
Do you think that's sensible, Miley?
No.
No. Do you think Daddy's silly?
Mm-hmm.
Don't learn from Daddy. Yes, that's an elephant. And yes, I probably should acknowledge that it was that kind of behaviour that got me banned. Not that I was doing handbrake turns on school grounds, but I definitely wasn't doing wheelies either. I can see how I might have been misunderstood. Sorry, school. And here is a Peugeot 205, which brings me on nicely to my second car. 205 1.4 XS then was a short-lived experience. I bought it in the summer that I left this place, but it was one of those times when everything kind of went a bit wrong, so I felt a bit lost when I left school. All my classmates went to university, but I didn't become a mechanic for actually another year after leaving school, and I just didn't know what I wanted to do. So on top of feeling a bit lost, and yes, the Peugeot 1.4 205 was pretty cool. It was a lot faster than the Micra, so it definitely satisfied that need, but it had stuff that went wrong with it, stuff that if I had it now I would be able to sort quite easily, I would have thought. And basically the battery kept going flat. But then what happened, I lost my license, and ironically enough, well, I don't know if it is ironic, but I had come back to the school to see somebody, and on the way home I got caught by an unmarked police car speeding. Now unfortunately this was the second time that I'd been caught speeding since passing my driving test, and we are just about over a year on from me passing my driving test. And I don't know if it's still the case, but in the UK at the time, if you got caught speeding twice, and got 6 points in your first 2 years of driving, you lose your license. So I lost my license, resulting in me having no driving license and a car with a flat battery. So feeling a bit low, not really knowing what to do. I made maybe a bit of a bad decision. I bought the 205 for £150, but I sold it for £75 within about 3 or 4 months. Didn't have that one very long. Don't have many photos of it, don't have a huge amount of memories of it because I don't think I drove it that much. I did drive it down to Cornwall, I remember. So that pretty much brings us to my time ending at this place over 20 years ago. So let's move on to the next part of my journey. I never really had a plan of what to do next when I was at school. As a result, all my friends went to university, but I just didn't really do anything because I didn't have any kind of idea. Ended up doing some football coaching at my old school for a few weeks, but then that ended. This was my dad's law firm, so he got me a role here, a bit of a dog's body role, and it had such an impact that the firm is now named after me. See? Davey Reeves, that's me. But that was never going to last forever. So after a few months at the law firm trying to find my feet, I decided that I wanted to do a mechanics apprenticeship just because I was enjoying being a boy racer, but I knew nothing about cars and I wanted to. So I thought, what better way to learn about cars than to do it whilst getting paid? So I dropped doing a couple of days a week at the law firm, and my friend used to be in there. It was a body shop called Solo Designs. So I came to spend a couple of days a week here, and in that time I did the Clio, which I previously talked about on my wrapping video. And the Clio was a car that I got after I lost my driving license and after the 205 to get me back on the road, and that was a pretty awesome car which I did lots of antisocial things in and had a really good time. But whilst I was here, I was looking for that mechanics apprenticeship, and eventually I got it here, Seaward Vauxhall, where I spent 5.5 years, did my mechanics apprenticeship and ultimately became an MOT tester. And I suspect you don't believe that from having watched my previous videos. I mentioned just now that all my friends went off to university while I was left behind, but this was my university. It was a great experience working with great people and learning skills that I clearly continue to use on my YouTube channel and continue to value immensely. And I did all that whilst getting paid here. So I arrived here with the Clio, but within a year I got my first RX-7. And the RX-7 needed an engine rebuild, as RX-7s often do. So I got that job done with a bit of help. This was a massive learning curve, but having done that I moved it on quite quickly, mainly because the cost of insurance. But then I bought a car off this forecourt, which was also quite expensive to insure, about £2,000 in the first year. Being here, I very quickly developed the bug for Vauxhalls, and whilst at that time I would have loved one of these, the Astra HVXR was brand new at the time, so I got the next best thing, a big finance agreement, and I got the Astra G GSI. That meant that was the end of the Clio. Now this was an awesome car. I know I say that about all my cars, but I've obviously chosen them carefully because I really like them. And on this one I put a PlayStation in the glove box. It had a screen, it had a full exhaust system, and I loved it. But then after 18 months of that I got itchy feet again. I'd seen the film Biker Boys and that made me want a motorbike. So what did I go and do? I went and did an intensive course starting in the January, 4 days with a test on the 4th day. Went and got a Yamaha R6, dropped it twice, came off it on a roundabout, and in the August that was the end of my motorbike experience because I could never get confident on the bike, and I haven't touched one since, and that was 17 years ago. At the same time of getting rid of the motorbike, I'd also had the GSI for about 2 years, so again I have itchy feet. I was a bit fed up with the cost of the financing, so it was time for that to go as well. I got a cheap runaround, the Vauxhall Vectra 1.6. Not much to say on that one, but I did have it 2 years, so it did serve a good purpose. And the reason I got a cheap runaround was so that I could get another Mazda RX-7. Being a bit older, the insurance was no longer an issue, and one became available with a blown turbo, so I bought that and replaced the turbo. I also got it tuned to, I think it was 350 brake horsepower. It was an unfortunate story of the RX-7s because my friend had one as well, and one day we were out driving together and some delinquents decided to put trolleys in the middle of the road. I was in front, broke into the trolley, but my friend broke into the back of me. The damage to his car was a lot more than mine, basically ending the life of his RX-7. But luckily for me, my car just needed a new bumper and a respray really. But I got a cheap respray and there was a bit of reaction on the paintwork. So rather than getting it resprayed again, I decided to put these gold stripes on it. Looking back, that RX-7 was probably the coolest car that I had, definitely the fastest. But I was always worried about its reliability, which is why I had the Vectra as well. And also RX-7s are notoriously difficult to get through MOTs, particularly because of the emissions. So off that went after another 2 years. So at this point I'd been working at the Vauxhall garage for 4 years. I'd done the apprenticeship, I was an MOT tester, but I couldn't really see where else it was going. And again, like with the cars, I started to have itchy feet about my career. So I actually started studying accountancy while still working as a mechanic. But back to the cars for a bit. So with the RX-7 gone, I knew I needed something special to replace it. But I was looking for something newer, something more reliable that I could use as a daily. I nearly bought a new Corsa from the dealership here, but that didn't quite work out. So instead, I bought this Scooby, rather than get another car on finance. But unfortunately I crashed this car twice in 6 months, so quickly fell out of love with that. So after 6 months that was gone too, and for the first time and only time ever I swapped a car, and this is what I swapped the Scooby for, a Jaguar X-Type. But this wasn't really me, it was a diesel, it was a weird colour, and it was an estate. So that didn't hang around too long, and then that had to go. So we're now at the end of 2010. Remember I said I'd started studying accountancy, but at this stage I'd now done the first level of the AAT qualification, and I'd been looking for a position in an accountancy firm. And mid-December of 2010 I got one. Bit of a sad moment when I handed my notice in at the garage here, bringing to an end a very enjoyable time in my life, one where I learned lots from lots of amazing people. I did a lot of growing up, and certainly as work goes, this probably is the best time in my career. And it was also the time I met the lovely Hannah, by the way. Just as we leave here, back to the cars. Now you remember earlier on in the video my boy racer time at school. It was around that time that Too Fast Too Furious came out, and that was a big influence on me, as if you couldn't tell from the neon lights on my Micra from earlier clips in the video. One of the other influences was the pink S2000. Absolutely loved that car. So that made the S2000 become a dream car of mine, and it was at this moment that I got my S2000. Shortly after buying that, whilst parked at my mum and dad's, the S2000 unfortunately rolled down the drive. Taken another note from me, always leave your car in gear parked on a hill. But that was promptly repaired, and shortly after that I started here. So I'm forever grateful for this place for taking a chance on me as an accountant. Who on earth would take someone on as a mechanic to be an accountant? But apart from that, you know, if you've got nothing nice to say about something, don't say anything. I'm joking, well, sort of. Let's just say it was character building, but again I worked with some great people who taught me loads, which set me up really nicely for after 2.5 years when I came to work here. Ivan Rendell & Co Accountants. That wasn't actually a building site when I was here. That building behind me was here, and this was the main building. Sadly this firm is no more. Interesting that Jacobs & Reeves is no more, Seawood is no more, and Ivan Rendell & Co is no more. What does it say about me working at these places? But I continued my development as an accountant, and again working with lots of great people to help me learn. So back to the cars. It's all been a bit quiet on the cars. I'm still in the S2000, and 4 years into being here I'm still in the S2000, but then this came along.
I'm not a this, I'm a person!
And that obviously meant I had to think about having a car with 2 seats in it, which wasn't that practical. So the S2000 went, and that is when I got the Astra. And around this time I moved to the house where most of my YouTube videos have been set. It's where I got my first garage, and that meant I was able to look after the BMW E46 M3, which was my uncle's. He just wanted a place to store it, and you know the story of that, you've seen it on YouTube. And Hannah now had the E90, which meant that I got her old Nissan Micra, and that was what enabled me to sell the S2000 so I could drive the Micra whilst I decided what to get next, and then I got the Astra. And whilst I had the Micra, I had a bit of a play with it. I swapped out the 1 litre pistons for 1.2 litre pistons, which is something you can do on those, but didn't do a very good job of it. Similar to the E90, it had lots of oil consumption and oil leaks. So I stayed here for 5.5 years. I qualified as an accountant here, but then I just felt it was time to move on. I needed somewhere I felt I could really develop and flourish. So I moved to Francis Clark, where I split my time between this office in Devon and this office in Dorset. And having made this move, I've now been here for 7 years. So a lot of time has passed. Still got the Astra, as you know, the M3, you've seen how that story unfolded on YouTube, and I've got the E90. But otherwise, I've just been here working for 7 years. It's been a great move. I've been able to push on, progress through the levels, and basically that is how I'm lucky enough to have moved to this place. And there you go, that is my story. But how and why did I end up on YouTube? I have mentioned this before, that one of the reasons I like doing YouTube is because it's brought about a renewed enthusiasm for working on the cars. At some point in the journey you've just seen, during my time as an accountant, I kind of fell out of love with cars, and any jobs that needed doing on the cars was a bit of a chore, and I got to the point where I'd rather just pay someone else to do it. And I think that reflects in the journey when I got to Stephen Penny and Partners with the S2000. That was in 2011, and since then my daily cars have been the S2000 and the Astra. Yes, I've had the Micra and the M3 and the E90 that I'm sat in now as my bits on the side, but that's 5 cars in nearly 15 years, an average of 1 car every 3 years, whereas prior to that I was pushing maybe 2 cars a year. I don't know, you do the maths. So that's reason number 1, but not the main reason. So I'm reluctant to name drop, and this person does not need me to name drop him in any way, shape or form, but the first video that drew my attention to the fact people were doing this sort of thing on YouTube was, of course, Matt Armstrong, and the first video that I saw was the start of his Murcielago project, and I just thought that looked so much fun, working on cars and videoing it to put out there for everybody to see. Why aren't I doing that? And then around that time, in my role at Francis Clark, I started a new role where I was presenting to my department. Now, presenting or even speaking, communicating generally, is not something that I've ever felt is one of my strengths. So I thought, how can I get better at this? So coupled with the fact I'd just seen Matt Armstrong on YouTube and this need to practice presenting, it was just a no-brainer. It all just fell into place. Well, let's start a YouTube channel, put out a few videos, it will be fun, and at the same time I can practice speaking to the camera and improving my presentation skills. That concludes our first video. If you made it to the end, thank you for watching. And that was it really. As I said before, I only intended to do a few videos at the start. I thought, let's just see what it's like. But actually, I've really enjoyed it, and it has become a proper hobby of mine. This is, and always will be, just a hobby. But having said that, the numbers that I've racked up in terms of subscribers and views is probably more than I ever imagined I would get when I started. It's quite amazing to think that anybody out there, especially people that I don't know, are prepared to watch my videos from start to finish. And if you are watching this video now and have got to this end of the video, then you are one of those people, because I don't expect this particular video to get that many views, as it's not me working on a car, fixing a problem or doing a thing. So I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed finding a bit more out about me and understanding why I'm here making videos for you guys. Bit of a different one, but we'll be back to the bread and butter in the next video when we finally get to look at the Astra again and see what issues need resolving on that one. See you then.